Chapter 4. Adam scanned the surrounding trees. Were there others? Surely this child wouldn't be here alone. Adam stepped back and looked again at the creek. The boulder blocked a third of the current, so the downstream side was a large, smooth eddy. He could jump into that, but he had no idea how deep it was. He could break an ankle if he jumped from this height. Looking back into the trees, his eyes scoured the area, watching for any movement or any possible escape route. "Are you alone?" Adam asked, his eyes still scanning for others. The girl didn't answer. Adam finally pried his eyes from the trees and looked at her. She gave a shy nod. "I'm Adam," he said tentatively. "What's your name?"
"My new name is Kalen. May I join you?"
When Adam didn't answer, the girl smiled,
took 3 steps toward the boulder, and with the smooth swiftness of a mountain lion, climbed onto the rock and approached Adam.
Adam tensed, but then relaxed at her disarming smile when she extended her hand and said, "I'm pleased to meet you, Adam."
He shook her tiny hand, at once surprised by the strength of her grip and comforted by the warmth of her greeting. "What are you doing out here alone?" Adam asked. Kalen stepped past Adam to the edge of the boulder and sat down, dangling her feet over the creek. "I was sent for you." Adam looked around again. Was something moving in the trees, or was that just the breeze shaking the leaves?
"Sent for me? By whom? Are you one of the mountain people?" "I was sent by someone who knows that you snuck out of the city in the middle of the night and who wants you to come home to your family." "Home? You mean he knows where you came from, Adam, and Does he know about the pond and how I could go back? Who is he? And who are you? And why?" "I told you, my name is Kalen. And if you come with me, I'll take you to meet him. He lives in a cottage in the high country."
Adam raised an eyebrow. "The magical cottage?" "Not magical, but powerful and beautiful. There are colors that come from there that, well, they're hard to describe to someone who's never seen them, but I promise you, when you see them, you'll never be the same." Adam looked at Kalen for a long time. "Many years ago," he started, "I saw..." He lowered his head, then looked down at the water. "Never mind." "Why are you out here, Adam?" she asked. Adam took a seat next to her and drew a long breath. "One of your people came into the city once and told me, 'Don't touch the gold.' I've often wondered why she said that. I know it sounds silly, but once in a while, times when I need to think something over, it seems like I can think more clearly when I get away from the gold."
Kalen smiled and swung her legs around to face the city. Adam hesitated for a moment, then turned to look as well. Light from the moon glinted off the buildings.
"What do you see?" she asked. Adam sat in silence, gazing at the city. Kalen gave him a few moments, then leaned toward him and lifted her eyebrows. "Well?" "I see gold." "What else?" More silence. "I see a place where thousands of people will wake up in a few hours and scurry around in a frenzy, accomplishing nothing. We move things, count things, buy, sell, work, rest, and then we build beautiful buildings that fall on us and we die." Adam looked down at the boulder as if he couldn't bear to look at the city another moment. "I'm sorry. I'm usually not this cynical. I don't know what's wrong with me. I guess I'm just tired." "It's not because you're tired. It's because you can see now," she said. "You're right about the gold. You have to get some distance from it before you can see things clearly. You've been out here, an hour or so? And you can already see how pointless your life is." "Well, aren't you, little Miss Sunshine?" "No," she said with a hint of a smile. "I told you, Kalen." Adam tried to read her face. Was that a childlike misunderstanding or mature humor? This girl acted like a child in some ways, but in other ways. "Right," Adam said. "Your new name. Why did you change it?" "I'm not the one who changed it. Everyone who goes through the cottage gets a new name." "What if they don't want a new name?" "I don't think I would. I like my name." "Of course you like the name you've always had because you're still the person you've always been. But when you become a new person, your old name will no longer fit and you'll come to hate it." "I know I'm not the man I should be, and I like the idea of newness, but I don't want to lose my identity." "You won't lose it. You'll gain it. Right now, your identity is corrupted. When it's renewed, Then it'll be what you were created to be. You know, you don't talk like a child. Kaylin frowned. Do I look like a child to you? Never mind, she said. It doesn't matter right now. Just come with me to the cottage and you'll understand. She stood and hopped off the boulder. Adam didn't move. We can leave right now. Come on. I don't know. I have a lot of work. She put her hands on her hips. Moving things around and counting them? Adam gave her a long look. You don't realize what you're asking. Everything I know is in the city, and I have enough gold now to buy anything I want. Like what? She said. Anything. I can buy tools for work, your work of moving things around, and not just for work. I have lots of fun, too. There's entertainment in the city. We have flocks of birds with glorious colors. Whenever I need a break or just want to have some fun, you enjoy some amusement. And what does that do for you? It gives me some rest, so I have energy to... Adam didn't finish because he didn't want to hear her repeat the description of his meaningless job a third time. You work and have fun, she said. Then her eyes widened. But what about adventure? Adventure? It was a new word for Adam, yet somehow he had an idea what it meant. The city is obsessed with fun, she said, not adventure. That's because fun is safe. Adventure isn't. But if it isn't safe, then why? Because adventure has higher stakes. The potential for great joy comes only when pursuing things of great value. But that means exposing yourself to the risk of great loss. Fun has little risk of loss and provides only the shallowest gain. But I have to warn you, she added, attaining great gain also awakens dangerous enemies. I don't think what I need right now is fun or adventure. I just need some peace. He turned back toward the creek and pointed to the churning rapids. That's what my life is like, tumbling, random chaos. It's why I love watching the river. It calms me. The sounds, the motions, the complexity and simplicity. It's like a metaphor of my life in some ways. Kaylin picked up a stick and climbed back up to where Adam stood. They watched the rapids in silence for a few moments. Then she looked down at the eddy created by the boulder. Is that what you want your life to be? She asked, pointing to the eddy. Adam watched the moonlight glisten off the smooth, quiet surface of the eddy. I would give all the gold in my house for that, he said. Do you see where the slow upstream movement of the eddy collides with the downstream current coming around the rock? She said. They call that the eddy fence. She tossed the stick into the eddy, and they both watched as it floated gently upstream toward the boulder, then out toward the main current. When it came to the eddy fence, the stick tumbled a couple of times, was carried several yards downstream, and then was pushed back into the eddy where it drifted back towards the rock again. The cycle repeated a dozen times. Other sticks and debris sat motionless in the eddy along the shore or next to the boulder. Finally, the stick was caught in a swirl along the eddy fence and was pulled under. Minutes went by. Adam felt a little anxiety scanning all over the eddy to see if the stick would reappear. Do you think it... Adam started, but when he looked up, he was alone. He stood and climbed off the boulder. Kaylin was gone. Adam peered into the darkness to the west. What's out there? What is the high country like? Is the cottage real? Standing in the hallway with his friend Lath, Watson was powerless to help the woman he loved with all his heart. This was part of the training, and she had to go through it alone. Watson winced with each scream that came from the other side of the door. You know it's necessary, Lath reminded him, nodding towards the sign above the door. Watson looked at the sign and then touched the patch covering the eye that he lost in his training. He winced again, imagining what Abigail was going through, but he knew his comrade was right. This kind of training was necessary for the battles they were about to face in the lowlands. Another of Abigail's screams penetrated the door. Both men looked up again at the sign. Watson was hoping the reason that he and Lath had been summoned was to join Abigail on the mission for which she was being prepared. Lath was a dangerous man. His massive size and tenacity on the battlefield struck terror in the hearts of the enemy. He had a red, bushy beard and enough hair on his massive arms to cover most of his scars. He had long ago given up trying to keep his hair combed. It insisted on lunging in every direction like a wildfire burning on his head. The two men were an almost comical contrast. Watson was much smaller, and his black hair, dark eyes, and neatly trimmed beard struck terror in the hearts of no one. But his analytical skills and his thorough knowledge of the enemy's tactics made him invaluable on missions like this one. At last, Abigail emerged from the room, her smiling face still bleeding.
"Did you receive your weapon?" Watson asked.
"You're looking at it," she said. "It's a good one," Lath remarked. "Perfect for you." Watson nodded in agreement. "What is the mission?" he asked.
"The most recent collapse in the city has revealed a point of vulnerability," she said. "There's already an operation underway to exploit it, but forces are gathering to defend the city. We are to go and assist in the operation and bring those who are vulnerable back here before the city rebuilds its defenses."
"And Lath?"
"No, just the two of us for now. The ruler doesn't want us to," she turned to Lath and smiled, "attract attention."